Hi, my name is Taylor, and today I wanted to give you a couple tips on how to camp with a dog who is not able to be off leash. So as most of you guys know, I have Siberian Huskies, and Siberian Huskies aren't known to be the best dogs off leash, but there are a lot of dogs that can't be off leash. And in fact, most campgrounds that you're going to are not going to allow a dog to be off leash. If they are allowed to be off leash, which is very rare, usually they have to stay within the site. And if your dog's not capable of that, you really need to keep them on a leash. So some of the things you can do to keep them on leash, so you're staying within the rules of the campground and keep them safe, you can put them on a runner system. This is a tie-out that's strung between two trees, and then at the very top you'll see there's a carabiner, and then I just clip, I just clip his leash to the carabiner. Make sure that your leash has a swivel on it so that way they don't get tied up. And then, we have a lot of sass. And then that just gets clipped right to the dog. So you'll see I have him on a slip collar. When you're doing this, I'd recommend, I'd recommend, I'm not allowed to talk? Okay, I'm not allowed to talk. Okay. All right, now that Nebby's quieted down. For most people, I'd recommend either a semi-slip collar or a martingale collar. And the reason you want these is that flat collars, typical collars that you put on your dog, if you have an escape artist, they're gonna be able to get out of it. The other thing that's really important with these runner systems, excuse you. The other thing that's important with these runner systems is to make sure that that clasp of the leash is able to touch the ground. So that means they're allowed and able to lay down while they're hooked up to this. Another way to do this system, if you don't have trees or anything to clip the tie out to, is to clip it to your picnic table that's typically at the campsite. And then the other end would be to your car or your truck if you don't have a good spot on there. Excuse you, we're really talkative today. One really good spot for that. Oh, okay, we're really talkative today. But a really good spot for clipping that other end if you don't have trees is to a picnic table, and then the rims of your cars is just be careful if you have a strong puller. You don't want to wreck your rims, but typically your car is going to have a spot that you are able to be towed out of, like you're hooking a tow strap to on the underside. So just look for that, and that's what you're going to hook the other end of the tie out to. Okay, so the most common and most reliable way to tie out your dog, if you don't want to get fancy with the runner system, is to just put your dog on a tie out. Tie one end to a post or a tree or whatever, and then the other end is going to get tied off to your dog. The issue with this is if you have multiple dogs, it can get easily tangled, or if you have an active dog, they can get tangled up. He has rear dew claws, and he's not always the, lots of attitude. He's not always the most nimble dog, and so having a tie out just hooked up to him directly risks him getting the lines tangled into the dew claws. It's happened before, and I don't want dew claws ripped off, so just warning on that. And with the runner system, again, if you have multiple dogs, just make sure that they are far enough apart that their lines can't tangle up, because again, you don't want dogs getting their neck or their paws or their tails or anything wrapped up around each other, or I've seen dogs get tangled and it's just not pretty. Okay, so for those of you who don't have the space for a tie out, or you don't want to deal with a tie out because quite frankly they take up quite a bit of space, another option you can do is use a schedule belt and tie the dog directly to you. The advantage of doing this over just having a leash in your hand is that a schedule belt is hands-free. So while you might still get tangles, sorry, Etsy was talking now too. You might still get tangles, it's going to be a lot more controlled because the leash is going to be a lot shorter. So a schedule belt is going to look like this. This is the Niwa brand one, It's a lightweight one. They make really fancy ones. I got this one and it's held up 2 years, so that's saying something with my dogs. But it has these loops that go around your legs. This goes around your waist. This is just a pocket on the back side. And then it has this piece here that you're going to attach the leash to. So I usually have a carabiner clipped on here, and then the leash goes to that. And then you have control over your dog and they're not able to run off. And then your hand's free too, which is great. And there's a pocket for poop bags because when you're camping, you still need to pick up your dog poop. The very last option I have for dogs who can't be completely off leash at a campsite, but you want to give them a little bit more freedom. And this is probably for campsites that are a little bit bigger and a little bit more laid back, because it is technically, they're not off leash because I have a leash on, but some campgrounds might be a little upset about it. So Ezio over here is on a long line. It's a 15-foot long line, and I just let him drag it around. Now, I would only do this with dogs who do have a good recall, and this is probably again for campgrounds that just require a leash for logistics. But it gives them a little bit more freedom, and the long lines are the best because they're just not going to tangle up. You can also grab onto them. I'll show you mine in a second. And you can get them in all different lengths for your needs. Okay, so Ezio's long line here, you can see is attached to his, he's scratching. I have it attached to his semi-slip collar. Don't use long lines with the choke chain unless you're going to put it on like a dead link. If you don't know what that means, just don't use it. This is a 15-foot one. It's a biothane one. I like these because they're not going to collect all the different forest gunk that the fabric ones seem to collect. And then at the very end of it, I have a handle, so I can grab him and grab the line if needed, but he can just drag it around. And again, this is really for dogs that just have better recall. I would really only suggest it for dogs who have like perfect recall, because technically if they're fast enough they can get away from you, but you know, you're gonna decide what's best for your dog. So also you'll notice that Ezio has a little bell on him. Anytime my dogs are on a long line or off leash, I like to put a bell on them, especially in new areas, because if something does happen, then I'm able to hear them, other people are able to hear them, especially with the Siberian Huskies being a little more wolf-like, and you can't see it, but I'm doing air quotes. People just get a little weird about dogs that have pointy ears and are a little fluffy. So it's just an extra precautionary measure for the dogs and for me. And as always, make sure your dogs have tags on them when you're camping and all those good things. And now I have a neighbor whose car horn is going off, so I'm gonna call this the end of the video, but thank you for watching.